Hello, welcome everyone. My name is James Rush with KOTESOL, and I am here with a wonderful guest, a friend of KOTESOL, representative of PALT, Professor Vilbar. I failed to ask and mention, is there a title that I should be referring to? Is there a doctor on the front of that with your title and position?
Well, in the Philippines, they normally call me Sir Ao.
So,
Sometimes when they go to Asia, they say Professor Doctor Aurelio Vilbar. So yeah. Sometimes they put doctor, sometimes they put professor, but a lot of friends call me Sir Ao.
okay. I got a little bit comfortable in just calling you Kuya, knowing that was the
Yeah, it's a lot
term for
better. That's
the
a
term
lot
for
better.
older brother. So, and
Yes, yes.
I truly felt that sense of family and relationship when I visited in December of 2023. So, thank you for that. And with the time frame that we both have, it's the beginning of a semester, and summer conferences are now underway. We want to get into some questions here. So, again, wanted to thank you for your time, and then also just ask you to tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me a little bit more about your journey into education and your commitments to the schools there in the Philippines.
Well, I have so many roles in the University of the Philippines. I've been teaching for 29 years. So I teach at the high school and also in the Master of Education program. So
Yes.
for the last 6 years, I've been teaching only the Master of Education program because I became the director of the volunteerism of UP Cebu. So prior to my being a director for volunteerism, I was the coordinator for international linkages. So I've been teaching a lot of high school students. I
Okay.
do lots of volunteer work,
Yes.
and I also do teacher training for to help teachers and how to make their research a lot better.
And with that volunteerism component, is that a for credit matter, or is that just it's organizational, it's volunteering, and it's an activity by itself, or is there a curriculum connection and an educational goal with that?
So for the University of the Philippines, it's part of our mandate to do public service. It's
Okay.
part of our journey as a professor to do volunteerism. So there's a specific funding for that, and we have service learning projects in
Great.
which our students from high school, graduate, and undergraduate would be volunteering to a specific community
Mhm.
based on the specific subject. So, for example, in my case, I'm teaching Master of Education, and the major is English as a second language. One of my subjects was supervision of bilingual education. So part of my service learning project is they would volunteer to some teachers in another island in Cebu, and they would supervise on how to do teaching using technology, teaching using AI, or maybe teaching using differentiated instruction. And usually the volunteerism would be at least 20 contact hours.
Wow. Okay.
It's fun. It's really fun. Yeah, it's really fun to be going to another island
Yeah.
and volunteer. And afterwards, you get promotion. Okay, because you're helping the country. So that's one thing I like with the University of the Philippines.
Great. It
Hmm.
sounds. I hope that there is a bit of understanding of how the Philippines, the national curriculum and national mandates are, as well as what the local needs are, and how that's balanced out. I wonder in your are there other countries that have similar kind of approaches towards that, or is Philippine in its own category with that?
Well, I think around the world, because there's a service learning international conference in Hong Kong this December. And I also noticed that most of the research I read about service learning is based in the US. Based in the US and based in the UK. I think around the world, there have been a lot of people doing service learning. And we normally do conferences and we share each other's findings and we do benchmarking as well on how to improve the service learning.
Okay. Yeah, the school that I'm at here, Luther University, we have a couple courses that are incorporating that more. But I
Mhm.
have not acquired the Korean language enough to see what the literature is like in the Korean language, but also I know that some of the other international schools that the Lutheran church that I'm connected to is involved with a bunch of service learning matters. And then KOTESOL as a whole, we try and include different topics within like the SIGs, the special interest groups. I think they are fairly considerate of what it means to be a service to the local community. So the classroom specific, and looking at some of
Hmm.
the classrooms that you have you noticed a way of thinking that's maybe come with the students, and is that adjusting your methods and your assessments as well?
Okay, so the Philippines has this very varied type of student learners. I teach in the University of the Philippines, Cebu, and I'm very fortunate that this university has very competitive examination. So usually every year there are 120,000 who applied in UP, and we only get 12,000.
Hmm.
So our students are really the best in the country. So in terms of teaching, they are very motivated to learn. Their scholars, they don't have to, they're not paying anything. They don't pay tuition, and they have lots of special scholarships once they go to UP. So my students are different. I'm very blessed to have them. They're
Hmm.
smart, they're very motivated, and they studied on their own, and they also help the people. But that's my university. If you go outside UP, there could be a lot of special cases. Like in UP, we have 25 students per class. But if you go outside UP, there could be like 40 to 50. So
Okay.
we've been making lots of reforms and help the public school. Now, in terms of facilities, we're very blessed in UP. We have the classrooms are having air conditioning units. So when it's summer, it's really okay. So that's why I feel so lucky to be in the university. But if you go outside UP, things will be a lot different. There could be challenges in terms of classroom setting.
Yeah.
Well, some public schools have three shifts, like they use the classrooms in the morning, lunchtime, and early evening because of too many students. But that happens only in the city. But
Yeah.
if you go outside the city, there could be like small classrooms, small classes,
Yeah.
and lesser students. So it really varies from which area you're teaching and
Mhm.
also which specific province that you're handling.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but what one of my takeaways from the conference, from the PALT conference, there was the focus on just the many different languages that are there in the Philippines, as far as the rural and more remote languages, but there's so many of them. So
Yeah.
not only the English level education, but the how that how the students are coming in with their own family language, their own background language. Is that also part of the um, opportunity, but also part of the challenge?
Yes, yes. And before, like during my time, the medium instruction was in English and Filipino or your mother tongue. But sometime in early 2000, we made a new law which said mother tongue based multilingual education. And the law stated that the education of from K to 3 should be in the mother tongue and
Okay.
followed by Filipino and then English. However, okay, I was one of the researchers of the law, and theoretically, it sounded really good. But one of the challenges now is the implementation. We're very multilingual, and sometimes, for example, if you go to my place in Cebu,
Yes.
we speak at least three languages. So we speak Cebuano, Filipino, and English. But most of the people there would speak in terms of hierarchy, Cebuano, the mother tongue, followed by English, and then Filipino as the national language. So this generation has this preference towards English over the national language, and the reasons are complex. Like for
Yes.
example, in terms of media, in my case, James, in the 80s, I grew up watching Beverly Hills 9210. Can you imagine that our media is in English. Our media is in English. Like we watch news in Filipino, and then all the movies we had were Ewoks, Star Wars, Wonder Woman, $1 Million Man, something, Family Feud, one
Sure.
million dollar chance of a lifetime.
Okay.
Those were in English, and we don't have much media in Filipino at that time. But now things have changed. So we're voting multilingual, and it created opportunities, especially to people living in Manila,
Okay.
because they speak the national language.
Yes.
But to some people living outside Manila, learning the national language can be really a challenge, but not true to all. So currently, we're doing a research now on to what extent do you favor the national language as a daily communication.
Okay.
So still evolving, and
Mhm.
I wish I could show you the data in the future. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's our life. Maybe the same with Malaysia. I mean, you're sorry, Indonesia. It's very multilingual. We have at least 180 languages in the
Yeah.
Philippines.
Yeah, yeah, with the personal note of my wife being Indonesian and trying to learn more about the island states of what are the similarities
Mhm.
between the Philippines and Indonesia. That's uh, when you bring that into the normal conversation of English as a foreign language, like teaching practices, the methodologies, the assessments, there's a whole nother layer that my thinking and my eyes and were just so opened when I attended the PALT conference because I'm very naive and ignorant of the fact that there's these things that have to be considered. I was brought up and taught in my education courses about IEPs and different learning styles and strategies. You had some students that were on, say, the autism spectrum or physical disabilities or other matters that's a diversity that's in the classroom that you have to consider. But when I started thinking about the mother tongues and the backgrounds and all the different things that these students are bringing into the classroom, that a teacher has to navigate and communicate as well.
Hmm.
That really just added a whole layer of that much more respect that I have for the teachers there in the Philippines. Um,
Yeah,
moving
thank
on
you.
to, go ahead.
No, thank you, because Koreans are normally multilingual, right?
Yeah, very typically
Yes.
in my experience so far, and so and that's there's an extreme pride in that, and rightfully so that more than 95% of the population is literate and they read and they write in Korean language. Now the challenge is getting into that second language and how much exposure do they have and chances to practice the language. There's a challenge that way as well. Um, PALT, talking about the organization, can you tell me a little bit about your introduction to PALT, how you got involved, and what all are your responsibilities?
Yes, so PALT is called the Philippine Association for Language Teaching.
Yes,
It's the oldest language teaching association in the Philippines. And I know it's older, it's more than 60 years,
yes,
more than 60 years. And it's being founded by a professor in the University of the Philippines in Diliman. So UP, shorter for University of the Philippines. There's so many campuses in the Philippines, and I'm in Cebu,
okay,
and the founder is in UP Diliman in Manila.
okay,
And I got involved with that when I was a PhD student.
okay.
So I studied in UP Diliman in 2004, and my advisor was an officer, Dr. Rosario Alonso Paul, and he told me to give it a try to help. And at that time, I my job was so simple. I just had to bring the OHP projectors, the
Oh,
one with the
sure.
light.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's what I did. So that's what I did. I would be bringing those projectors from one room to another room, and I'd be looking for the acetate. It's a piece of how do you call that? It's something that you see
Don't,
magic on the screen.
right.
Well, that's what I did before, and I enjoyed serving the teachers. I see lots of teachers helping each other,
May I
and I
interject
also
for a
learned.
moment?
Mhm.
The interesting thing I heard just recently is how bringing in an overhead projector now is considered an innovation in teaching technique in terms of like
Yeah, that's true.
you're challenging the students' normal way of thinking. But go ahead.
Yeah, especially if it has colors, it's magic. Okay, so and then I enjoyed the sessions. I was learning a lot from the presentations, from the parallel sessions, and I decided to run, and I won, and I'm enjoying PALT now. It's been like since 2005. I was a board member. We do elections time to time, and my roles were varied. At first, I was the secretary, followed by the international linkages officer. So I talked to PAC people. When PAC was born, I think I was one of those people who understood the history of PAC. And PAC is so good because you're helping the country. You understand the whole complexity of language teaching, especially in this archipelago with so many va- varied experiences.
Yeah.
And what I like about PAC is when PAC became a member of PAC, I we learned KOTESOL. I learned wonderful people, and it's one thing because, well, this is on a personal note. In the Philippines, when we studied about bilingual education, we always read a chapter of the native speaker
Mm,
dream, the white guy like you speaking English. And when I met people in PAC, I so excited. So I was so I've been reading a lot of literature that this is so colonial,
mm,
but when I went to PAC, I met Kotisol and Japan Tisol, I mean JOL,
yeah.
I began to realize that oh, there's a lot of research to be conducted and to be shown about the goodness of these white people in Asia, because most literature would say that the you, James Rush,
Mm,
teaching in Asia can be like another form of colonialism. But on the other hand, it might be a different way. These people are helping Asia. These people are into intercultural communication, and I'm really hoping someday there could be a good paper about that. And that's what I'm thinking. I'm grateful with back. I see more people helping, and I also learned about teachers helping teachers. It's based in Japan, and
yeah.
I've been connecting to them. They go to the Philippines regularly, so they also do volunteer work. And that made me grow as a person. It made me grow to understand more people, and I could see that a Filipino can be a good language teacher,
Yes.
and a Filipino can also be good. And it made me realize that language teaching is not about race, but it's more of helping people to achieve their goal in speaking English.
Sweet. No, I love hearing those words, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with. And I'm hoping some people will watch this interview as well and connect with you and reach out to you. Maybe they'll meet up with you at one of the upcoming conferences. So moving along in the conversation, can you tell me more about this coming national conference that you all will have in November of 2024, as well as the international conference after that?
So PAL normally holds international conferences every after 2 years.
Oh,
And for example, like last year, we held one international in Baguio, and one this year is a national conference to be held at Jose Rizal University, that is in Mandaluyong in Metro Manila. And we're so happy that Jose Rizal University is our co-sponsor or the co-organizer,
okay.
which means again, they would be bringing more teachers in the area in the national capital region. And this time, the thrust of the conference is to understand more about the new curriculum of the Department of Education.
Okay.
And there will be lots of discussion about how to do this and what is the impact of this new curriculum to basic education teachers, and also how can tertiary education teachers understand the context so they can have the more collaborative understanding and research perhaps
Okay.
to do something with the curriculum. It
Mm,
will be in Manila. Mhm.
okay. and then that's the coming national conference right now. That's this November
Yes.
2024. Okay.
And the international conference will be in 2025. It will be held at the University of Santo Tomas. It's called UST. Oh, it's a beautiful campus. It's also found in Manila. And we shall be talking more on internationalization and globalization in that context. Well,
Okay.
especially now after the pandemic, more foreign students should be going to the Philippines to study. Like
Okay.
currently in Cebu, we can see lots of Indians studying medical courses in Cebu.
Interesting.
Of
Okay.
course, there are always be Koreans coming here to learn English,
Yes.
but the sight of Indians, like hundreds of them coming to study medical courses, is really fascinating. And it promotes intercultural exchange. And we have some curry and masala now because of these students coming to Cebu.
So the are the Indian students that are coming coming for to learn the English and the terminology and the different things. I mean, because English is used in India, but is it because of the medical industry specific kind of things and the way the reasons like medical tourism here in Korea has really taken off? And so is something happened there in the Philippines that made that a a destination of choice for medical tourism English courses of some
Yeah, I heard a story. I guess heard the story, man. According to this is not urban legend. This really happened. Like there was an Indian person who studied in Cebu, and this person passed in the board exam in India. And in the interview, I'm not so sure if it's a girl or male or female. In the interview, the person was being asked, "Where did you study?" And this person said, "In Cebu." So when people in India heard about this, a lot of them went to Cebu to study. So that's why you can see lots of beautiful Indian men and women in the streets
yes.
wearing their beautiful sari.
Yeah.
And it has changed a lot. So every time I pass by to the street, because I live just across the university,
Yes.
and it's so nice to see. And the food is there, and there are lots of Indian food. And because I was the international linkages officer in Cebu, and we were asking, how are they? And they said, oh, they studied really hard
Mhm.
and they're good people.
Yeah.
And these are, I would say, the educated ones coming to Cebu because they took up medicine. Some of them are done with their undergraduate degrees. So
Yeah.
it's really good experience for them. And so far, I would say they contributed a lot in terms of being more diverse in Cebu.
I'd be really, I bet, going back to the conversation just a minute ago about colonialism and the influence that English had on India and what the whole learning curve of everything that they have going on with a number of different dialects of, Punjabi and everything. I'm wondering if there's probably 3 or 400 more research papers that could come out of all that. Um,
Yes, yes, exactly.
So, just to bring the conversation to a close and to also expound on the personal side of things, how's your summer been, and what are some just interesting hobbies or things that you are looking forward to here in the fall?
Okay, summer. Summer here, oh, we don't have fall, by the way. So summer is always from March, May, and June. And
Okay.
today's the start of this wind typhoon season. By the way, we have at least 15 to 20 typhoons in a year. So so when you come to Cebu, don't come in August and July. So
Okay.
summer, what we
Okay.
normally do is summer is the time for us to do volunteer work. So while the university professors are resting, that's the time the office will do lots of work because summertime is the best time to do volunteer work.
Okay.
And we normally go to other islands. And as a hobby, what I do is I play Scrabble professionally. Okay. So I enjoy competitions in Scrabble. I do online and I was a DJ before
Okay.
and I go to clubs. I do spin, I do music, I do dancing, and yeah, I'm still doing it the weekly time. It's Thursday, Throwback Thursday. So it's
Throwback
the best
Thursday.
time I go to.
How far
Yeah,
back? 70s, 80s, or
yeah, 70s and 80s. But I'm enjoying Justin Bieber as well, and Dua Lipa and BTS, of course. Okay, so
cool. All right. Well, it was such a great chance and opportunity. Thank you for taking my call and request for this time, and I really hope that we can drum up some excitement about not only the national conferences that both COTESOL and PALT are having, but also the coming international conferences. So, in summary, the COTESOL conference has a national one here in October. That's down in Gwangju, October 2024, and then PALT has their national conference in November of 2024. And then the international
yes,
conferences for 2025, be on the lookout for that information.
yes, and we'll keep in touch. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Terima
Thank you.
kasih.
Sama-sama. It's Indonesian.
Bye
Bye.
bye. Thank you. Bye bye.